Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Motive UPSC Desire IAS. In this video, I will be telling you about the 24 services covered under Civil Services exam. But before that, please subscribe my channel for further updates. UPSC Civil Service exam is one of the toughest examination in the world. In this video, we will briefly understand the jobs and services to which you will be allocated based on the result of Civil Service exam or CSC. There could be mistakes which are not deliberate in this video. At least I am taking my efforts to tell this here. This is the broad look of the 24 services covered under the Civil Services exam. So this is the brief look of the grade wise services of the covered under Civil Services exam. First of all India services, grade A. The first one is Indian Administration Services, second Indian Police Services, third Indian Forest Services. Now centralized services, that is group A, Indian Audit and Account Services, Indian Civil and Account Services, Indian Corporate Law Service, Indian Defence Account Service, Indian Defence State Service, Indian Foreign Services, Indian Information Services, Indian Ordnance Factories Services, Indian Postal Telecom Accounts and Finance Services, Indian Postal Services, Indian Railway Account Services, Indian Railway Personal Services, Indian Railway Traffic Services, Indian Revenue Services, Indian Revenue Service, that is Custom, Indian Trade Services, Railway Protection Force. Now, this is the B grade services. Armed Forces Headquarters Civil Services, Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar Island Civil Services, Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar Island Police Services, Pondicherry Civil Services, Pondicherry Police Services. So this was a complete brief look. Now let us understand what all it includes in it. So the first one, Indian Administration Services, IAS. It is the only generalist services and thus the most sought after by all aspirants. If you are in general merit list, you must be well within the rank below 90 to get into IAS. IAS officers serve both the central as well as state government, and also all the department and ministries are held by the IAS officers. Now, the second one, Indian Police Services, also known as IPS. The maintenance of law and order is the main function of these officers. It is a uniform services with decorations due to the complex nature of the fraud these days. IPS also is offering job variability such as cybercrime, intelligence, etc. are different variation of one can experience his or her career. And IPS officer also is head the Central Armed Police Forces. These armed forces have varied responsibility for guarding the country's border to protecting industrial installation to protecting the prime ministers. Now, the third one is Indian Foreign Services, that is IFS. These officers represent our country in other countries. Our country has set up embassies and consulates worldwide. They also represent our country in international bodies like United Nations. Their task is to maintain friendly relations with various countries. They have to maintain brand India globally. They are also posted in the Ministry of External Affairs in Delhi, where most international policy decisions are taken in what is known as South Block, where the ministry is housed. So now let us start with the centralized services, which are also grade A. The first one is Indian Revenue Services, that is IT. These officers generate revenue for the government through income tax. All taxes on the income are to be collected in the time to meet the expenditure of the government. Of late, a lot of technology is being used in this domain. So these officers are now required to understand the technology too. Both income generated at personal level and the corporate level are to be assessed by this department. The next is Indian Revenue Services, that is Custom CBEC. Central Board of Excise and Custom is a part of Department of Revenue under the Ministry of Finance, Government of India. The officers in this department deal with the task of formulation of the policy concerning levy and collection of customs and central excise duties and service tax, prevention of smuggling and administration of matters relating to custom, central excise, service tax and to the extent under CBECs. The next is Indian Audit and Account Services, also known as IAAS. Indian Audit and Accounts Department assists a constitutional authority called CAG in fulfillment of his constitutional duties. Indian Audit and Accounts Services officer serve as a top management of audit department. Audit means to check for the inconsistencies, etc. The IAAS officers derive their independence from the CAG's constitutional independence and work free of political pressure unlike any other government departments. The next is Indian Information Services, also known as IIS. These officers manage government print media, electronic media and advertising need for ministries and act as a press advisors. They control official media. They get to work for the management of Doordarshan and All Indian Radio. They work under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The next is Indian Civil Account Services, also known as ICAS. The separation of audit from accounts at central level has led to the creation of these services. These officers maintain the accounts of the government, public, financial management in what you do as an ICAS officers. Thus, they manage receipts, payment, pension, accounting and financial reporting and internal audit in the civil ministries. Now the next is Indian Corporate Law Services. These officers regulate the corporate sector in the country. They are vested with the implementation of Companies Act and Limited Liability Partnership Act, whether the companies are running according to the provision of the government, in what these officers monitor. The next is Indian Trade Services, also known as ITS. These officers handle the Indian internal trade and commerce. They also formulate Indians' trade policy. They also participate in the international trade negotiation as multilateral forum like World Trade Organization, export promotion, quality checks, etc. are some other functions. The next is Indian Defence Estate Services, also called as IDES. The Ministry of Defence is the biggest landholder amongst all the ministries of the government of India. Managing this land optimally is the task of IDES officers. The next is Indian Defence Account Services, also called as IDAS. These officers provide financial advice, payment, accounting, and internal audit functions in respect of Army, Navy, and Air Force, Ordnance Factory, DRDO, Bro, Canteen Store Department, and other allied organizations. The next is Indian Ordnance Factory Services, also called as IOFS. The Ordnance Factory manufacture defense equipment. There are more than 1.5 lakhs employees working in such factories. The administration of this factory is done by IOFS officers. The next service is Indian Postal Services. The officers manage and monitor the postal services in our country. There are many employees serving in this department and post offices are located everywhere in the country. So government uses this post office to provide other services also. The next is Indian Postal and Telecommunication Accounts and Finance Services. This is related to the Department of Post, as there are many officers and the officer maintain the accounts and finance of the department as there are many employees and offices. Now, the next service is Indian Railway Account Services, also called as IRAS. And Indian Railway is also one of the largest government employer and it has a monopoly of providing rail services in the country. IRAS officer maintain railway accounts. Next is Indian Railway Personal Services, also called as IRPS. These officers are like HR of the railways. Here HR means human resource. Next is Indian Railway Traffic Services, also called as IRTS. These officers manage the passenger and the cargo traffic of Indian Railways. Now, this is the last grade A services of CSE exam. Railway Protection Force, also called as RPF. These officers serve as security commissioners in Railway Protection Force. Now let us understand the B grade services. The first services is Armed Forces Headquarters Civil Services, also known as IFHQ. The officer of Armed Forces Headquarters Civil Services contributes significantly in the functioning of Armed Forces Headquarters inter-services organization except those relating to technical and combat aspects in respect of armed forces. The next services is Delhi Andaman and Nicobar Island Civil Services, also called as DANICS. Delhi is NCT and Andaman and Nicobar is also a union territory. The administrative aspects of these territories are taken care by the officer of DANICS. Now the next is Delhi Andaman and Nicobar Island Police Services, also called as DNIPS. Similarly, the law and aspect of these territories are taken by DNIPS. Now, the next is Pondicherry Civil Services. It is also similar to DNICS but for the Union Territory of Pondicherry only. And the last civil services of grade B is Pondicherry Police Services. It is just similar to DNI IPS but for Union Territory of Pondicherry only. Now, this is a complete look of 24 services covered under this exam. These are my some of the previous videos that I have uploaded. Please subscribe my channel for further updates. Thank you.